Welcome back, Lelanders. Today we're going to be talking about a viewer question. It's a bit of a serious topic, so first thing we'll do is bring up the viewer question. Right, so first with the conversation started with @StayBlessed69. Dude, can you do an episode on Canada? And he said he's looking for the exact coordinates for Alberta's nexus point. I think I have heard about this place a little bit, so we'll check that out. Yeah, we'll do an episode on Alberta. And then Tia Tanner 9597, sorry if I'm saying everything wrong. Awesome stuff, man. I live in Canada, Saskatchewan, Q Apple Valley, First Nations number 73. We have point of interest church built from way back during settlement times and residential school points of interest. So I think I missed the bottom. Can we talk about residential schools and ley lines? And oddly enough, I did some research into it. Let's see what we could find. Went into the Canadian Encyclopedia. We'll make it a little bigger so everyone can see it. So yeah, we went to there and we found a map that has the location of residential schools, and it has the names list. So first we'll cover the names and then we'll open the list, see if we can get it going. Alright, so there's quite a few here. Mount Elgin, St. Mary's, Chignawa, Wanush, Spanish, Battleford, LeBret, Fort William, Mohawk, Old Sun, Sacred Heart. That's the school I went to. Not a residential school, but same name. Round Lake, Gordons, Bertle, Muskowekwan, File Hills, Quazitza, Elkhorn, Cranbrook, St. Catherine, Portage Pierre, Port Simpson, Secree, St. Paul, LeBlanche, St. Michael's, Prince Albert, L'Orange, St. Anthony's, St. Michael's, Gourd, Brandon, Hay Fever, Lesser Slave Lake, Elmskin, Bouvel, St. Mary's, Blue Quills, St. Paul's, Norway, Crowfoot, Christine, Albany, Holy Angels, Thunderchild, St. George, Cecilia, DeMary, Wabaska, Fort Vermine, St. Joseph. Holy, is there ever a lot, eh? Crookus, Selkit, Ashla, Fort Pelly, Sandra Bay, Alexander, Fort Francis, Bishop, Borden, St. Another Sacred Heart? Or did we start repeating? Whitefish, Kimmick, Cross Lake, McKay, Lejac, St. Paul, Morley, Edmonton, Macintosh, Sturgeon, Pelican, St. Philip, Shubicane, Shingle Point, St. George, All Saints, Fort George, Assumption, Lower Post, Guy Hills, Fleming, Amos, Braint, Ishnapong, Sterling, Fort Notre Dame, Colder Heart, Yukon, La Pointe, Brompus, Federal, Poplar, Federal, Regina, Kamloops, Pine Creek, St. Joseph, St. Albert, St. Mary, Lockwood, Nenabord, St. Orthodox, and Yale School. Sorry for all the ones that I skipped through there that I was getting in trouble finishing the list. But yeah, that's a lot of schools, and we're going to check to see if we could get them onto the ley line map. Now, I wasn't sure I could do it, but I found some different places to click, and I think we may have done it. Let's check it out. Now I kind of just got it loaded here onto my files on the side. So technically we'll be both seeing this for the first time. Alright, so just at first glance, this is the yellow layer, which is the base layer for ley lines. And just for a prediction, before we get into it too much, if anyone's wondering the causes of why a lot of these ley lines happen to be where buildings are, it's usually because it follows fault lines, and fault lines have water, and people tend to build near water. But other than that, it's anyone's guess, really. Alright, so we'll start, I guess, at the top left. That's where I'm accustomed to. So this is the main ley line. Looks like the main river that comes in that region by Whitefish and Shingle Point. Anyone wants to say, how come you're including Shingle Point? Well, Shingle Point is like within range. Like no one really knows how wide each of the ley lines is. Some people would argue that it's even so wide it goes right up until it reaches the next one. But so I'm willing to go a fair bit of a distance between each ley line to include it, so it doesn't have to land directly on it for me to discuss it. Some people like to say, hey, it has to be within like 10 feet or whatever, so if you want to be that strict, you can. I figured the whole energy, like you can see how big the fault line really is. It's probably that wide when you see how big the water basin is and where the depressions are in the land and the geography. But anyways, so we have, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. First one near Whitefish Station would be Shingle Point. Then we have All Saints, Fort McPherson, Inuvik. Now, if anyone wants to know my background with churches, I actually grew up working for different churches. So I kind of got both, lived through some different perspectives on the whole church and is it good or is it bad sort of thing. So this one is, next one I guess we'll cover is the White Horse. Now when I was working as an altar boy, was with the church, and we actually had a really nice church and everything was great, and it was right when we were hearing about all the scandals to do with like different sex scandals and stuff. So we did experience some of the negativity against the church, as saying because there was some sex scandals it means they're all bad or whatever. But I try not to hold it against every church, because in our church's case, and I'm sure lots of others, not everyone's trying to be out there to do evil. There's going to be good and bad people in every organization, not just churches. But anyways, no, and then actually my fiance is part First Nations, and we live up north now, so I get to actually live on beaver horse territory. So I get to see that perspective more firsthand now too. Alright, anyways, here's White Horse. No, you get to meet some of the people who actually went through the residential school system. Not just stories that you see on the internet, but actually meet and talk to the people. It's quite interesting. It's terrible in many cases when you got residential schools or even the boarding system in general. What is it? Children's Aid, Codort Hall, Yukon Hall. It's not like the whole problem isn't still ongoing. In a lot of cases, kids are still being taken away, raised by people that aren't their parents. White Horse Baptist. So wow, there is quite a few of them that are landing right on it, right? Because that's like really zoomed in. So that was like almost right on the line. So we got the one here in Cacross. Sorry, I can't pronounce my own name very good, so other names just as difficult. Yeah, so that's the ones on that part, West Coast. We could go into more different line colors, like the blue and the red.
You can't see me.
Yeah, you're fine. It's not live either, we're lucky. Just doing a test recording offline. So there we go. Lower post. No, it's weird how many of the ley lines actually are over the residential schools. Well, I shouldn't say weird. Hey, Roman Catholic, that's the kind of church I went to.
Wait, you just do a practice run and reverse it a few times?
No, well, this one I'm going to probably post, but yeah. It's okay. If it works. Yeah. I did do one test and it worked first. So we got that one. Cambridge Bay. Kugeluktuk. Wow. It's like I'm almost thinking, like, I thought there wasn't going to be that many. We could cover it in like a 10-15 minute episode, but dear God, man, almost all of them are on ley lines, right? Especially when you add the red layer. Cam loops. That's the one right in the middle, right? So I guess we'll go over the main point ones, not to try to diminish any of them. St. George. The ones that are like right on the lines. Can't stretch it out to all the ones that are close to lines. Port McNeil. The Jack. Now, some people wonder with the stories about how some of these ley lines are sacrificial points, like on volcanoes and stuff. So it's kind of scary to compare it. Lower post.
I always thought ley lines were happy fun.
Yeah.
Portals to better places. Portals to different places.
Yeah. Not always just places of sacrifice. They're Sacred Heart. That's the church name I used to go to. It's on the Yellowknife line, where that school is. Now, those who want to debate and say, "Hey, there's so many lines, they're all going to bound to land on it," and it's kind of true at this point. But if you take off some of the other layers, like, hey, just take off the red layer, you still have a fair bit landing on it. Oh yeah, and what was the one viewer's question about the portal? What was it again? The Alberta's Nexus Point. I've heard about that on other maps. Which one? Is that where the medicine wheel is? I always thought Edmonton was the main one, because that's the one that connects to, or is it? I think Edmonton. Now, some of the ancient site alignments, I'm pretty sure those are the ones that go through Alberta, or Edmonton. Yeah. So if anyone's wondering, the energy line that connects Edmonton and what is it, Alberta, the general region, why it's got so much energy here in this line, I guess sort of halfway in between Edmonton and Calgary, where the residential school in Ermine Skin was. Sorry for saying everything terrible. Oh god, LeJack. So this line, if anyone noticed when I zoomed out, goes past Winnipeg, Minnesota, into the Great Lakes, Wisconsin energy orb point by Chicago. Then it goes through the Washington, D.C. area energy point. Then you go to the point above South America. It's a pretty major one. And then boom, boom, boom. If anyone's heard of this one. I really got to do more episodes on this one so people have actually heard of it. But now this is the Atlantis site. I don't think I have the circles. Alright, so if I find those later, I'll play it. Now, if anyone hasn't heard, this is one of my favorite guesses for Atlantis because it's where the ley line suggests it is. It's a circular island chain that was recently submerged due to being on some of the most active tectonic plates in the world at one point. I don't think they are still active. So you can see that's the Atlantis ring. The only other evidence for it is just that the Nazis also put it as their best guess. They named it the Schwabenland island chain. See if we can bring it up. There it is, Schwabenland seamount. So if anyone hasn't researched how this seamount got its name, it was the Nazi expedition that was on its way to the South Pole when they were looking for evidence for Atlantis. And the name of their ship is the expedition's purpose. And they also named this island chain after their ship. So if anyone's wondering, some of the evidence that that's Atlantis and how that connects to the energy point that goes all the way back to Alberta, in between Edmonton and Calgary. That's some of that badass energy of Atlantis. Now, not to joke too much, this is a serious episode. Alright, so I guess we'll put that back, the other layers for now, turn off the plates. But if that's just in case we forget to cover the other viewer's question about what I think about the energy point or nexus in Alberta and Calgary or Edmonton in general. No, it's all the energy too going through BC and the west coast. That energy line is one of the most powerful. But it's the next one over. So there's that school. The federal hostel at Baker Lake. Some of these places I didn't even know there was actual people living there. Federal hostel. I always thought there was no roads there, or maybe there isn't. Plane's the only way in. Alright, since there's just so many on every line color, we'll stick to the L lines for the rest of today. If anyone wants to see them all in detail, they'll have to download the website or the link from my website to get it on Google Earth. You can install it on the website version or Google Earth Pro now. I'll have to do a tutorial for both. Crystal Lake. Chapleau, Sault Ste. Marie. I've been to Sault Ste. Marie a fair bit. Mount Elgin, Mohawk Institute. I think I've been in that area too. So these ones are more on the line. Sept Hills. This one. Shubin Acadie. And then these three schools. St. Anthony Orphanage. Lockwood. Yale. Maybe even this one too. Makovic Boarding. Alright, we'll do one last look at the red and blue layers. No, so thanks for the interesting topic for today's show. I never really would have thought that residential schools were this many before. Holy cow. It almost seems like it's the majority of schools now. Like, did you see how many that is on that map?
Yeah, there are a lot.
Holy cow. Let's see, there we are.
Too many. It's too many. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to.
No, some of them people had good experiences, but I guess overall a lot of them are bad, you know? Fort Roman Federal Hostel. I think the same can be said for orphanages in general, right? How many kids have a great experience at an orphanage? Federal hospital. Yeah, so once you put on the red lines, it is pretty much every school. Huh? There's a few that aren't on the line, but not many. Even those two. Dear God. Who would have guessed so many? And isn't it weird in today's technology how we can compare gravity well lines to sites like these? Wow, unreal. Yeah, the ones in Yellowknife, not to make fun of it, but man, that looks like a nice place to live. Great Slave Lake, such a huge body of water, incredible rivers, lakes. It's probably cold as hell though, or I guess hot as hell in the summer too. Yeah, this one, Cambridge Bay, that one looks intense. If I had to guess, that was an intense one. Cambridge Bay. What a body of water to be near. I've never seen the ocean before, so it'd be incredible. Federal Hostel. Alright, so I think we covered all of the, well, obviously we didn't cover them all, but we covered a big chunk of different locations that ley lines in residential schools in Canada happen to overlap. Now Canada is a massive country, right? So there's no way we could cover all the different ley lines for Canada today. So we'll have to split that up into more episodes. So if people want to see more specific areas, just let us know. Yeah, I appreciate all the questions that keep coming in. We're in a bit of a backlog to catch up with some of them, so if anyone's wondering, am I going to answer the questions? Yep, still working on it, just been busy. Wow, intense. Alright, so see everyone, bye for now, and yeah, thanks again to the viewers for the great questions. Take care. And if you need any help in the chat below for how to get the ley lines working on your devices, just keep asking, and hopefully that'll help motivate me to get that how-to video done and get all the specifics answered that I need to. Alright, bye for now. Later.